And welcome to Hannity. And tonight, the most deceptive, dishonest, phony presidential campaign in human history. It rolls on. Apparently, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they are so toxic and radical and unlikable, frankly dangerous and incompetent that the Harris campaign is trying as hard as possible to hide them away for 70 days until Election Day. No sit-down interviews, no press conferences, no town halls, an entire presidential campaign without any direct communication with the voters in our country. No questions, no interviews, and now little in terms of any specific agenda. They don't have time. I'll explain. It is insane. But at some point this week, we're told Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are planning to finally sit down for a joint interview. I'm sure with one of her adoring contributors and fans and the mob and the state-run media. Don't expect any tough questions. Don't expect them to have to answer to their own words. Just lots of phony joy and laughing, and a lot of giggling and lying platitudes. They're the party of joy and the party of freedom from two people that would take away more freedom than any administration in history, which I will explain. But also tonight, Kamala isn't just dodging tough interviews or any interviews. She is also evidently afraid to debate Donald Trump. Now, unless, of course, her strict new conditions are now met. Now, she refused to do a Fox News debate altogether. That was just too risky for someone as incompetent as she is. And now, last minute, she wants to change the rules of the upcoming ABC debate, rules the Democrats themselves demanded in the first place, rules she already agreed to at the last minute. In contrast to previously agreed upon rules, Kamala now wants both mics to be hot the whole time. Now, the reason is obvious. Kamala, she wants to manufacture what I will call another I am speaking moment, very similar to the vice presidential debate in 2020. You might recall, I'm speaking. Did you know I'm speaking? I'm speaking. Take a look. She's speaking.
He said because the president wanted people to remain calm.
Well, let's get
no, but Susan, this is important.
Susan,
I want to add, but Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I'm
speaking. This is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well, wait.
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth.
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay.
If I added the Democratic debates, it goes on and on. We'll show you tomorrow. Her favorite debate phrase, I'm speaking. T-shirts, ads, fundraising emails, the Harris campaign, they want to manufacture another viral moment. I am speaking, Mr. Trump. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. She's speaking. Because they know even liberal ABC, even there, she's going to get destroyed if the issues are about substance. And aside from a couple of horrendous economic policies like the disastrous idea of price controls, the largest tax increase in the history of our country and the history of the world, even taxing unrealized capital gains, which is insane and impossible. Kamala has not detailed any other position. Now, there aren't even policies or beliefs that are listed on her website. The mob, complicit as they are, big donors that they are, they're letting her get away with this. And according to Axios today, get this news. Don't expect to hear about Kamala's beliefs moving forward. And the reason they're now giving is there's not quite enough time to come up with policy positions and beliefs before Election Day. Not enough time. Kamala has been in office nearly 4 years. She's already run for president one time and detailed a tremendous amount of proposals. Medicare for all, universal health care, abolishing freedom and your right to private health insurance. That's right, defunding ICE, defunding, dismantling, no bail laws as it concerns police. She wants to decriminalize illegal immigration and, of course, offer free health care, housing, education. Her running mate wants free college education for the unvetted illegals they allow into the country. She very clearly said she wants to ban fracking and drilling and get rid of the filibuster. to pass the Marxist $93 trillion Green New Deal and raise taxes on everyone and everything. These are her stated policy positions in her own words that the media refuses to show the country, unless she tells us something different, but she doesn't get off teleprompter. Of course, we know all about her leadership failures as vice president. We know she's a failed border czar and as the person in charge of the National Space Council. By the way, those poor astronauts, we're going to get them in 2025. Wow. But she also played a vital role in the Afghan withdrawal disaster. Remember Afghanistan, the disaster? Well, tonight marks the 3-year anniversary of the terror attack at Kabul International Airport. Remember, 13 U.S. service members and more than 150 others lost their lives. Americans abandoned behind enemy lines, and our allies that we promised we'd never do this to, they were abandoned behind enemy lines. Many of them, by the way, we left a list of who their names are. Many of them ripped out of their homes, never seen or heard from again, thanks to Joe and Kamala. And while mass chaos was unfolding at Kabul's airport, it was one of the most devastating, humiliating moments in American history, and it was all caused by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who brags about playing a critical role in that decision to begin the deadly withdrawal from Afghanistan. You might remember Kamala in her own words. Take a listen.
President Biden always said that he wants you to be the last person in the room, particularly for big decisions, just as he was for President Obama. He just made a really big decision, Afghanistan.
Yes.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
And you feel comfortable?
I do. And I'm going to add to that. This is a president who has an extraordinary amount of courage.
No, that wasn't courage. As the country of Afghanistan was rapidly collapsing and horrific scenes of carnage and chaos unfolded in real time, Kamala was all smiles just days before service members were killed. Take a look.
Hey, listen, so I'm going to, hold on. Slow down, everybody. I want to talk about two things. First, Afghanistan. We couldn't have a higher priority right now, and in particular, our priority is making sure that we safely evacuate American citizens, Afghans who work with us, Afghans at risk, including women and children, and that is one of our highest, if not the highest priority right now.
What's so funny? 13 Americans are dead, and we had hundreds of Americans abandoned behind enemy lines, our allies abandoned, and many of them ended up dead. And by the way, today, Trump, not Kamala, not Joe, they went to Arlington National Cemetery, President Trump did, to honor the service members who were murdered during that terror attack at Kabul's airport. Joe Biden, he couldn't be bothered. He's now on his second consecutive beach vacation without a care in the world. And we have no idea what Kamala Harris was doing today. Earlier, well, President Trump had this to say, you know, as it relates to this very solemn, sad anniversary. Take a look.
Caused by Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, the humiliation in Afghanistan set off the collapse of American credibility and respect all around the world. Our country will never be safe again until we have fired those responsible for this disaster. When I take office, we'll ask for the resignations of every single official. We'll get the resignations of every single senior official who touched the Afghanistan calamity to be on my desk at noon on Inauguration Day.
Where's Kamala Harris? Why didn't she give a speech taking responsibility for the tremendous failures in Afghanistan? You just saw it 3 years ago. She was bragging about its success and being the last person in the room making the call to leave Afghanistan. And now she's MIA, missing in action. It's pathetic. You know, how much more pathetic can you get? Kamala's now pretending she wasn't around 3 years ago. She had nothing to do with the withdrawal. She wants Americans to believe that she's not an incumbent. And on day one, I'm going to fix inflation. On day one, I'm going to fix the border. What have you been doing the last 3.5 years? You are the vice president of the country. And that, what, you're not responsible for the border crisis or inflation or any of the other failures of the administration that bears her name? It's the Biden-Harris administration. Instead, everything is Donald Trump's fault. Somehow Democrats who have been in charge for, 12 out of the last 16 years are completely blameless for any of our woes. The dog bites, the bee stings, you're feeling sad, just blame Trump. Hate Trump and call it joy. Have no agenda whatsoever, take away people's freedoms and say that you're for the Freedom Party, because that's what's happening. Take a look.
Donald Trump would sell this country for $1 if it meant lining his own pockets and greasing the palms of his Wall Street friends.
Donald Trump.
Take Donald Trump and J.D. Vance.
But let me tell you what a radical agenda is. And that is Trump's Project 2025.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
In fact, there are fewer border crossings today than when Donald Trump left office.
Donald Trump.
When President Trump...
The truth is, Donald Trump sees power as nothing more than it means to his ends.
To Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
For years, Donald Trump did everything in his power to try to make people fear us.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump, the felon, has no plans to lower costs for families.
But the consequences of putting Donald Trump back in the White House are extremely serious.
They lie about abortion. They lie about Project 2025. They lie about the economy. They lie about immigration. They lie about everything. This is the most bizarre, dishonest campaign in history. To sum it up, a person that got 0 primary votes, has conducted 0 interviews, 0 press conferences, and doesn't have any stated policy positions on her website, may not have time between now and Election Day, wants your vote because she hates Donald Trump, and they hope you do too, even if your life was significantly better, which it was, under the last administration. They claim to be, as I said, the party of joy and the party of freedom. But they want to take away your guns. They want a mandatory gun buyback. They want you and your family to pay for the unvetted illegal immigrants that they are allowing into their country. They want you to pay for their housing, their health care, education, even college education in Minnesota. They want to force you to pay more for energy, and by banning fracking and banning drilling. The Freedom Party, the Joy Party, they want to take away your gas-powered vehicles. They want to force an EV into your driveway, whether you want one or not. The Freedom and Joy Party wants to take away your private health care system. The Freedom and Joy Party wants to force feminine hygiene products into boys' bathrooms. And in Minnesota, they want to give your children gender-affirming care and take away your knowledge and your consent. In other words, your right as a parent. What joy, what freedom. But in 70 days, well, frankly, it is less than that, because 3 weeks from tomorrow, early voting begins in Pennsylvania. That is 22 days from today. And mail-in ballots go out in places like North Carolina in 2 weeks. There's not a lot of time. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.